experience in important international banking institution, standing out as CEO of Swift, where he was responsible for opening the office in Mexico and expanding the business. At HSBC Latin America, he served as regional director of transnational products. He is a telecommunication engineer with international MBA studied in Madrid, Shanghai, and Santiago de Chile. Studied the senior management program at IPADE, participated in the digital transformation program at the University of California, Berkeley, as well as in the IESE Global Business Program in New York. Thank you, Rubén, for your participation today. I will also want to introduce Daniela Ovalle. She has a degree in international relationship by the Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León with emphasis on foreign trade and customs. She has 10 years of work experience in the financial sector, and she has worked in financial institutions such as Banorte, BBVA, Santander, and Banco Base, where for the past 2 years has worked as relationship banker in the area of enterprises banking. Her job is dedicated to customer service and the sales of financial products that support the development and growth of her clients. Thank you also, Daniela, for being here. Let's just... Daniela, Rubén.
Hello, Barbara. Thank you.
Hi, Daniela. Rubén, are you there? Okay, we are 5 minutes before the start hour for Daniela and Rubén. I already introduced them. So we're gonna wait for 5 minutes for Rubén to be here. And okay, this is like a good time for you to to do whatever you want and then come back at 11 a.m. Thank you. Muy bien. Hi, everyone again. I have my two panelists for this next session already on board. Hello, Rubén. Hello, Daniela. I already introduced you. So for this session, I will ask you some questions in terms to start our discussion today. Okay. Hi, everyone. Rubén, can you hear me?
Hello,
Daniela?
hi, how are you?
Hi.
Yes, Barbara,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Sorry for being late. A little bit of issues with the with the connection. Sorry for that.
Don't worry, you are exactly on time for your presentation. Thank you so much, both of you. Okay, so for our discussion today, I would like to ask the first question, Daniela. How can companies achieve credit authorizations as they are foreign companies due to the issue of security or warranties?
Yeah, Barbara. Well, there are different options to make it happen. We have the easy ones or the hardest one, right? Let's start with the easy ones. And these warranties can normally assure you the authorization of the loan, okay? The number one, it's like it can be a standby letter from their headquarters. If the company comes to Mexico, but has a headquarter out of the country with the possibility to send a standby to this company, this can be very helpful to be as a warranty of the loan, and it's something very acceptable for the banks, and it's something that it can help you out to get the loan, the authorization of the loan. The number two, it's if this company has any property in Mexico that it can offer as a warranty, this can be this can be very helpful. Okay, the bank can borrow you normally the half or the total of the value of this property. And the number three is that we can work with a back-to-back warranty. What is this? Normally, the company deposits some money in a trust bank account, and then the bank can give the same amount as a loan. You may ask, how can this be helpful if the company is going to send the money? Normally, if they have some capital to, I don't know, to invest, they can use it, and at the same time it can be helpful to get this loan, and they can work and they can play with this. They also, we have some other options, but this depends more of the financial situation of the company. The number four is some government programs like Banco, where if the company imports or exports their products, it might be able to apply for the warranty from this federal bank. And then another type of warranty, it's like a factoring loan. If the client comes as a provider of a AAA company in Mexico and they have been working with a contract, this contract can be the warranty of the loan. The points that this contract may have, it has to be, or it can be given as a warranty, the number one. The number two, it has to be with some amounts and with a term. So this can be helpful as a warranty in this type of loan. There are so many options, and I think to help a company, the most important and the best advice that I can give to you is to contact your bank or your relationship banker so they can help you and make the best option for you. But it doesn't mean that if you're a foreign company, you cannot be able to get a loan or a financial support. There is a lot of options, and there is some different types of warranty that we can work with.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniela. Okay, Rubén, this question is for you. Can you mention some of the financial products that can help SMEs grow in the global market?
Of course. First of all, I want to take a moment to thank Business 4.0 for this invitation. Actually, this is something very relevant, given that, as I will explain later, trade is something that basically is going to take us out of the economic situation that we are facing here in Mexico and in most of the world. So, well, actually, Daniela just explained a little bit about the usual products or the usual credit products that we will be finding in Mexico, slightly different from the ones that we will see in the US and in Canada, but basically the financial products are the same. So coming back a little bit about explanation in Mexico, well, in terms of the SMEs, let me just give you a brief history around here. Right now in Mexico, there are 4 million of SMEs. And of those 4 million, basically around 95% of those are really like micro enterprises. So really small companies, mostly no more than 10 people or 10 full-time employees. But anywhere, those 95% represents 52% of the GDP in Mexico, and also employs around 72% of the workforce. So the SMEs basically are really relevant in Mexico. Also, the entrepreneurship side of the Mexicans are something very interesting. I will say that based on my knowledge of Canada, it's very similar than in Canada. So we like to create new companies. We like to innovate. We like to start utilizing like ideas and to try to get those to work around a new company. So that was the history or the numbers prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Right now, after 1.5 years almost, I will say that 2 of each 3 has faced really relevant issues, and most of those have very lots of issues on getting some type of credit support or financial support. So actually, the numbers around those are like only 10%, well, less than 10%, around 7-8% has received a financial credit or financial support, either from financial institutions or from the government. So, well, that generates a very interesting situation that we can see that it's putting in jeopardy some SMEs, but also that it is generating new opportunities. Also, in terms of how the financial institutions, or in this case, both the traditional and the non-traditional, like the fintechs, can generate some value. So what has been happening right now in the last few years in Mexico is that we have a very interesting opportunity in terms of financial services. We have the highest number of fintechs, almost 500. I would say that right now we already surpassed that number. Almost 500 financial technological-driven companies that are present in Mexico, and that's a higher number of all Latin America. I believe that it's very similar to the number of companies that we will see in highly developed countries like Spain, and those companies actually has been targeting really different financial problems or financial opportunities, and of those, actually around 100 120 has been looking after lending credit. I would say that not only for enterprises, SMEs, but also for person-to-person credits. And on those, actually, what it has been happening in the last years is that we have been creating an additional value to the traditional banking or financial institutions. So based on all that history or background, actually what it has been happening is that we have been able to create the opportunity of credit to these SMEs. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are opening also the door for those SMEs to become import and export companies. And that's also based on the new NAFTA agreement, well, the renewed NAFTA agreement. Actually, that is something really relevant, because now it's not only that a company from the US or from Canada can come to Mexico and make any business with a really large or medium-sized company, but also they can start doing something very interesting with an SME. So we have generated those kind of, I would say, functionality around those solutions, So our SMEs here back in Mexico can actually generate value and can actually start working with companies abroad.
Excellent, Ruben. Thank you so much for your answer of that question. And now I will ask Daniela, can you talk a little bit more about any time of support that the government gives, for example, through Banco to companies that participate in foreign trade and helps make it easier to obtain lines of credit from banks?
Yeah, well, Bancomext, it's a very important federal bank and a very important organization to help these companies. Bancomext, as Mexico Development Bank, is in charge of financial international trade. Is very interested in expanding their international relationships, providing clients located in our country some risk coverage, financing programs, and other specialized financial services. Bancomext can also give direct loans to the companies for financial needs, but it has to be above $3 million US dollars. It also can give export and import international factoring, and it also can help export credit insurance through CESEMEX. This is a firm in which Bancomext is a shareholder too. They work with different markets. Bancomext works with different markets like automotive, energy, logistic, travel industry, communications, aerospace, and some others. It's very important to mention that to achieve or to work with Bancomext, in some ways you have to go directly with them, but in the other ones, through the bank that you work with, it's the one that helps you to get all these privileges that Bancomext gives to the companies. What am I talking about? When you want to help or to get a warranty, when you are here in Mexico and you don't have any land and building, or you don't have a standby letter to give to the bank as a warranty, we can work with the Bancomext warranty and you don't have to do anything. Your client, your banker must be able to help and to help you out with this process. So normally this is very unknown by our clients, and it's some more commercial work that we do between Banco Base and Bancomext, or all the financial institutions and Bancomext. It's very easy to work with. The percentage of the warranty that Bancomext gives to the companies depends on their size and depends on the market that it attends. But the principal goal for Bancomext is to help these companies, these foreign companies, and grow the financial trading here in Mexico.
Excellent, Daniela. Thank you so much for your answer. And now I will ask Rubén, how technology speeds up access to financing for SMEs to enter and grow in the global market?
Thanks, Barbara. I believe that's a very powerful question. Actually, one of the things that Daniela was just mentioning about Bancomext, that it's a federal bank for trade and import-exports. But basically, as she was stating, the credit lines that they can give are actually quite small in comparison to what an SME can obtain, basically. So we're speaking about $2 or $3 million, wherever an SME will be trying to get a line between 100,000 to perhaps 500,000 US. So well, basically in terms of the line of the technology, technology basically has been showing us after this one and a half year of pandemic that can speed everything. And I believe that one of the most important things is that until like 1 year and a half, even though there were lots of fintechs here in Mexico, we were trying very hard to get the customer to actually change their own behavior into something digital. So I will say to embrace the digital world, because here we're not speaking about the millennials or the generation X or Z about getting into the digital world. We are speaking about people that has created their own companies perhaps 20, 30 years ago. So, and they basically get all their accounts, their ledger in Excel sheets or in any legacy system that they can get. So something really relevant about this is after this pandemic, they are very open to get a digital signature, as an example, for a digital contract for a credit line. They are also open to have a video conference to comply with the KYC, the Know Your Customer situation that actually the regulation obligates. So, but that's not simply it. It's also how they can obtain more and more financial products in a very easy way. So let's think about an entrepreneur that has had their own company for the last 20 years. And right now, well, basically they don't have enough time because they are very successful to get into a different bank each day to get a credit line. So now with the digital world, basically they can start looking for those credit lines or credit opportunities online. So based on different systems with different functionalities, different companies, there are even nowadays digital brokers that can get and can provide them with the help that they will basically need to get the financial product that they need the most. So it's not only that, but also they can also start looking into investment accounts, trade accounts. They can even start, I will say, very complex products or transactions, like based in securities, based in different coverage letters or FX even, and all that from their own, basically from their phone. So this is something that it's most of the people we can think in Mexico is that it's something that we already have. But the important part is that that functionality, we already have it on most of the, I would say, traditional banks. So those basically are oriented to customers like middle-end or high-end customers, I will say, like medium and large companies or corporations, but not toward the SME side. And now, even though Mexico financial industry is quite advanced, so as an example, we have real-time payments since, I would say, basically, I believe 15 to 20 years. And that's something that basically you will not see it in the States or in Europe or in most of the countries until like 5 years ago. Well, we have real-time payments for the last 15 to 20 years. We digitalize check imaging for the last 20 years also. So basically, we have a very advanced and state-of-the-art banking infrastructure. So, but we never targeted those like person-to-person transactions or those SME necessities. So we will just putting those behind, I will say, like under the rock, basically, because most of the financial institutions were very successful with the middle size and big corporates. So with all the technology, what we have been creating is this sort of I would say financial inclusion, although it's not the exact term, because these companies already had a bank account, but they weren't really utilizing financial products. They only have a deposit account, and that's it. And well, basically that's not financial inclusion. That's just having an account and well, being able to pay probably your taxes, but that's it. And what we are trying to create from the fintech side is that they are able not just to have that deposit account, but to open more deposit accounts, more credit lines, to start doing FX, factoring, credit lines. Well, basically the sky is the limit in terms of all the financial alternatives that we can give them from the fintech side. And well, not only that, also it's about giving them back all the information that they are giving to us. As an example, most of the SMEs nowadays, when they want to get a credit line with a fintech, the first thing that they do is that they will need to open themselves to us in terms of the IRS information, the IRS digital information. So that with the credit bureau and all the data sets that are outside there in the digital world, they will just hand us that to us, and then we, as an example, will, based on different algorithms and artificial intelligence and stuff like that, we will decide how much we can give them back as a credit line. But that's a very interesting side for our risk from a credit, for a financial institution. But the important part that is happening nowadays is that we are also giving them back the digested information, the digested data, so that these entrepreneurs can take financial decisions based on their own needs. So if they are going to take a credit line, they will understand with this information when do they need to take that credit line, at which interest rate they need to take that credit line, and how much actually timeline they need to take it. Or on the other side, if they have an excess of deposits, that will be very interesting, very good. Then if they actually, based on their cash flow, if they can actually put that money in an investment account or not. So that all that data is what we are also trying, all the fintechs, to get back to the customer, because if they keep growing, actually we will be growing with them. So well, just a little bit of examples of how the technology can keep helping all these SMEs in generating value, developing, and of course, increasing our own GDP, our own economy here in Mexico.
Excellent, Rubén. That was very informative. Thank you so much for your answer. And I will next want to ask Daniela, can you give us an education and financial advice? What SMEs should know before requesting any financial?
Yeah, well, Ruben was telling a lot of truths on his answer. Right now, the banks are looking not only to give some credit lines, they want to get the whole business. So if a company has the most of the products of the bank and has a deposit account and does FX operations, this is very helpful for the bank to get an easier decision to give a financial support to a client. There's a checklist that most of the companies has to send to the bank to apply for a loan. And it's based on every bank policies, and the most common things that they're going to ask you is, number one, they cannot finance a client that has less than 2 years legally established here in Mexico. If you have less than 2 years, it's very hard that a financial institution can give you a loan. The other one is their sales minimum. They need to have a sales minimum to apply for a financial support. There are different type of companies or enterprises, as Ruben was saying, the SMEs, and there is the medium size and the corporate. And every market needs to have these minimum sales. A loan can be authorized in Mexican pesos or in US dollars, but this is based on the company's cash flow. If your cash flow is all in Mexican pesos and you don't use dollars, you cannot apply to a US dollar loan. Okay. The other one is that they should have any type of warranty to offer, that we already talked about that. It's very important to give to the bank some security that if there is any issue or any problem with the financial situation of the company, they will have some other options to get this money back. The other one is the loans amount they apply has to be justified. by the company operations and by the financial situation. If we're talking about an SME, maybe applying for a loan, I don't know, more than 5 million US dollars, is going to be kind of out of ground of the company, of the normal company operations. So it's very important that the loan, the amount of the loan that you are applying for goes with your company operations. There are different type of loans, and that's important for the companies to know, because they always go with a working capital loan. But if you are going to buy an asset, or we have the simple credit, or we have leasing, we have the asset-based lending, the credits or providers factoring, and the credit letters, you can apply for any of those. It's very important that your relationship banker knows the activity of your company and what do you want the money for, so you can apply for the right type of loan. Because if you apply for a loan that it's not under your needs, it can give you some trouble on the future. The most important thing I think in here is to have this one-on-one relationship with your banker, so you can get the best advice, and you can get the best service, and you can get the best solution for your company.
Thank you so much, Daniela, for your answer. And okay, now I will go ahead and ask for Rubén. Can you talk about fintech as the right arm of SMEs to enter the global market?
Oh, that's a very big question. Yes, of course. as I was saying before, there are 500 fintechs here in Mexico. If we split those into different types, I believe there are 14 different types of fintechs. And of those, let's think about which can actually help SMEs. Of course, I will say that there are 3 or 4 types of those. So let's say that around 100 can actually support those parts. And actually, there are 2 sides here of the coin. One is how those fintechs can support the financial institutions that are giving credits to SMEs. So then actually in consequence, they are creating more opportunities for the SMEs to attain a credit line. So that's one side. And actually that's helping even like most of the banks here in Mexico, actually, even the traditional banks are starting to work heavily with fintechs, so they can have a better risk understanding, to understand also the customer needs of all the SMEs and stuff like that. But then going backwards a little bit about how we can generate that opportunity to SMEs. So first, as I was explaining before, data. Of course, that more and more all the the digital financial companies can actually generate that data sets that can go back to the customers. I have seen quite interesting, I would say, quasi ERPs. So it's more like treasury management systems, but not the one that you will find on an SAP high-end system. And also, of course, you will need to pay like $2 million to have the implementation of those. Now, I am speaking about treasury management systems that actually the SMEs can get for as low as $10 a month, and they can actually start seeing all their cash flow and cash. Well, they can actually generate really interesting cash management opportunities, and of course, they can start being more, I would say, more administered. So more managed. So one of the biggest problems of the SMEs is that they tend to be utilized as the check account of the owner. So, and as they keep growing and growing, basically they start seeing all these problems that they have as they are utilizing themselves as that personal check account of the owner, instead of becoming a real company. So that's something that we, of course, the fintechs can help with these treasury management systems from early, so they can also get a better understanding of their own cash needs, cash necessities, and how they can how they can create value and keep growing at a very speed pace. What else? Also, the next thing is, as Daniela was explaining a little bit, it's very difficult for an SME to actually get the financial, well, I would say the FX financial products that they need from a traditional bank. And that's basically because of the size of the SME. So as an example, let's think about the forward, an FX forward. So if an SME wants to get that from a bank, basically it's going to be impossible. And of course, I'm coming from banks, and I don't have anything against banks. I'm part of that industry, of course, but it's very difficult for a small SME that actually sells 1 to 2, basically probably $3 million a year in terms of sales growth. Sorry, in terms of sales, to get an FX forward from a large bank or a medium-sized bank. And well, then actually what it has been happening for the last 10 years is there are non-banking financial institutions that has been offering those kind of products. So as an example, and they will not tell the customer, oh, this is a forward, because of course the customer is going to get frightened because of, wow, that's something that I don't need, because basically I don't understand that information, I don't understand that product, and I don't want to get there. And then basically what the fintechs are doing is they are generating credit lines based on those forwards, so the customer actually can understand based on their own necessity how they can get a credit line in US dollars, in euros, in different currencies, and they can still pay those in pesos, but without any FX risk. So well, that's a very, very small example. And we are starting to see, well, this product is very, very old already. This is more than 8 to 10 years. But what we are starting to see is, as an example also, asset-based credit lines. So this is something that usually the banks will be doing as a mortgage, of course. But what happens if what I need is some cash for my company, and then I don't want to put a mortgage on my active, on my house or in my office or something. So what we're starting to see more and more is this kind of asset-based lending situations in which actually the customer can lend for 12 to 18 months only, this warranty, and based on that, non-banking financial institutions or a fintech will actually give them some credit line. So that's the interesting side of it, that based on the risk management and based also on the data and the information that these companies can actually keep providing, then more and more the fintechs can actually give them back this kind of products and functionality. Last but not least, product actually, and actually that's one is hitting us, everyone, is the FX interchange. So basically, more and more those SMEs, they don't go to a bank to actually change pesos to dollars. They are starting to utilize some platforms in which actually this kind of platforms, they will open for them an account in Mexico and also an account in the US, in US dollars. And they can start doing transaction based on blockchain, and then they can start making payments directly from the US without going through any Mexican bank. So well, that from a customer point of view is incredible, because they will be avoiding to pay for the SWIFT fee that it's in Mexico between 25 to 45 US dollars. But from the other side, they are fully complying with the KYC information and with all the regulatory information of both countries. So for the customer, that's great, because they are avoiding to pay really high fees, and they are complying with everything. For the banking and non-banking financial institutions, like in the one that Daniela is working and the one that I'm working, well, that's actually that's a big issue because our income basically will keep going down. But we need to see that as an opportunity, because then we need to be more innovative and come back to the customer, perhaps with an embedded solution in which, don't worry, I will not charge you for the SWIFT fee, but I will give you a credit line so you can actually give me all your payments and I can pay on behalf of you in the States or in Canada. So, well, we can come back with very highly creative solutions and very innovative. But of course, I will believe totally that in terms of trade, on trade opportunities, factoring, international factor as an example, those are the things that still there is a really big blue ocean out there that the customers, the SMEs, actually really need, because they don't understand and they don't know how they can keep growing at the pace that they are growing without the support of a financial institution. And that's exactly where both the digital and the non-digital banking institutions can actually get into and start working with both the SMEs here in Mexico and abroad, and also with the financial institutions here in Mexico and abroad, to perhaps help those and create and complete that value chain that the customers in both sides of the border actually needs.
Okay, thank you, Rubén. Thank you for your answer. And okay, now I'm going to ask for whoever wants to answer this question, Rubén or Daniela. Let's see, how fintech companies facilitate access to financing the companies.
I
Who's
think
going to
Rubén
answer
has the best answer to give. Well, I will just like to say, as I was saying before, I think to get to facilitate the access is to work the most of you can with your financial institution. It can be through deposits, it can be through FX, it can be through forwards. All the most operations that you can work with your financial institution can be a fintech or institution like Rubén's or as mine. But this gives a lot of confidence to the bank, and it gives a lot of trust to the company, from the bank to the company, to give this financial support. There are some easier products than working capital or something, like an FX loan, where you can have this very short of term of financing that can help solve the company. But I think it's more, and I would like to Rubén to help me out with this, but I think it's more like to the most that you work with your financial institution, it's the easier way to get this financial access.
Yes, of course, actually is part of the to increase the relationship with most of the banks. Something that it's really interesting there, actually, on what Daniela was saying, is the share wallet or wallet share. Depends which side of the ocean you're speaking with. Basically, what we have been seeing on the last 10 to 15, perhaps 20 years, is that 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago, you only had one banking relationship. And the RM already knew you, the relationship manager, knew you very well. And actually, going to the bank was like quite an experience. Okay. On the last 10 years, perhaps what it has been happening is that the more and more we as customers, we have a better share wallet with the banks. And we're in Mexico as an example, is going to be very strange if someone doesn't have more than 2 credit cards. Actually, that will be needed to be a very I would say, highly resilient and a very financial manager to only have one credit card or not having any credit card. So what is starting to happen also is we are starting to tend the new trend into that either. Oh, sorry, they put me on mute. So even the relationship managers are not that relevant to the customer anymore, because now we have the credit brokers or the mortgage brokers or the insurance brokers that are starting to get into this industry as well. So now the relationship is not with a financial institution, but with the broker instead. So well, these are really huge quantum leap things that are happening in the industry. But the most important thing I would say that still is what Daniela was saying, that to have a more and more relationship with the financial institution, of course. But secondly, most important, and that will quickly become the first and most important one, is what is happening with the open banking trend, in which basically you are the owner of your own information. So you own your information, but you also own the transactions and where do you want to do those transactions, to whom you actually want to pay those transactional fees, credit fees, interest rates, etc., etc. So the next big leap that we're going to start seeing here in Mexico is the open banking industry. So we still are struggling. I would say that we're still, open banking is still the big hype. Like 5 years ago was blockchain. So basically everyone is speaking about it, but no one knows or fully understands how that is going to change our industry. But in this case, in terms of open banking, what we are going to start seeing is that Rubén Galindo owns his information, and he also owns completely how he wants to bank with the industry. So he can have 1, 2, 3, 10 different deposit accounts. That's not a problem. And how everything is going to start merging into only one bank, e-banking or digital proposition. That's also something that it's still coming to Mexico. So right now, most of the financial institutions, we have our own wallets, e-banking, digital banking, whatever banking you want, voice banking, whatever you want to say. But more and more, what is going to start happening is that all those are going to start getting into one single system, one single digital platform, and that's the future. So more or less, I would say that how the financial institutions interact with their prospects and customers, that's going to be the future. And this is also speaking about user experience, because more and more what we are going to start seeing is that everything is based on the digital world. Is how do you interact in terms of the UX? How do you interact and fully understand their necessities? And of course, as Clayton Christensen used to say, which is the job to be done, and how we fulfill that job, that necessity that the customer has. So, and that comes from customer understanding, customer knowledge. So we need to be very open to show a lot of empathy to our customers, and then therefore, so we can have all the data and get back to the customers with exactly the solution and the suite of solutions that they need. So well, for me, that's the future of the banking industry.
Thank you both for your answers. It's sure a very interesting question and a very interesting answer. So thank you both. And now I'm gonna ask you the last question of this panel. And we'll then going to start with any questions that the attendees may have. Okay, so the last question is, I would like an answer for you both. How do you see the political and economic situation of the country And how can this affect the business financing? Who
Wow,
wants
what
to
a question. Well, I
Rubén
think
first.
it's I think it's complicated. Most of it because of the pandemic. You know, COVID-19 has come to affect life in many, many ways, and one of them it's the economy for sure. There are companies, as Ruben was saying at the beginning, that are passing through really, really hard time, and some markets like the automotive or the tourism have been very affected. So this is reflected in the decisions that the banks are making. How come at the beginning, 1 year ago, the message from the banks were like, we're not giving money. We're not giving credit lines. We're not giving loans. We're going to stop working because we don't know what is going to happen. Even with the clients that they already have this line of credit, it was like, you cannot use it. If you have some amount available to use, it's blocked because we don't know what is going to happen. So all the banks came like a step back and stopped working in this area. Right now, I think the financing side, it has started again, but the banks are approving new loans to companies that they have been like more cautious or more severe with the decisions that they are making in the security side. So it was very important and it was very helpful to start talking about warranties, because right now, if we don't have this warranty side in a credit line, it's very hard for the company to get the authorization of a credit line, because the banks are very cautious on their decisions, and they want to be sure that the money that they are investing is gonna get back. They want to support their clients, but at the same time, they want to be sure that the money will be returned. So I think the economic situation of the country, it's getting better, but right now it's not on their best case scenario, and this affects the financing business, because and it affects us as selling managers, because my job is to sell credit lines and my job is sell loans, and with these economic issues, it's very hard to find the type of companies that the bank wants to borrow money. So, but I think we're getting started. This has been a really good year, at least in Banco Base. We have been growing and we have been giving you credit lines, and I think it's a good thing, but it's very important to consider the security side on every line of credit line.
Thank you, Daniela. Rubén, what do you think?
Of course. Well, of course that the political situation has been affecting the economy here in the last 3 years. That's a given, and we all know that. And then the COVID-19 situation actually also put us on a very challenging situation. As I was saying, most of the financial institutions, we stopped giving credit for a while, or perhaps we decided better decide how we give we give those credit lines. Lots of SMEs actually closed, and well, but actually that's not a situation of only Mexico. Also in the US, what we have been seeing, and in most of the other countries, there are lots of different companies that has been closing. But also, actually, right now, the interesting part is that for these years, what it has been happening is that the credit lines has starting to open. More and more, the companies are taking credit. And in my own experience, and what I really personally think is that if the companies are actually targeting the import and export, and particularly the export opportunity, they will not only survive, but also they will keep growing and growing and growing at very rapid speed. So even though there haven't been any financial support from the government, and we know that there will not be any support, still the customers that actually can start exporting, and of course, secondly, importing goods, services, and everything, then those are the companies that are going to not only generate value, not only survive, but also to become the really next big, medium, and large corporates in Mexico. So there is a really good opportunity to here in the Mexican market to generate value, to generate business, and it's not only on the side of the fruits and vegetables goods, and particularly on the side whenever it's winter or autumn that most of the US and Canada cannot harvest anything. But it's also all the services and all the infrastructure that we can provide. There are really big opportunities here in Mexico for the, particularly for Canada, I will say. One of my best friends of the MBA was a Canadian, and we always say that we should build a really long bridge going from Mexico to Canada. Just keep somewhere in the middle. So I do see a very good outcome of the next 3 years, and particularly is going to be based on all that trade, import, export opportunities that are out there.
Yes, I support the idea of building a bridge. Okay, so thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Rubén, for this amazing panel. It was very informative, and I think we've got a lot of ideas for what we can do and what the technology is up to these financial institutions and your products. So thank you again for being here. Now I would like to know if someone in the audience has any questions. Sorry, let's see. I don't see any questions. If anyone has any questions, please submit it through the chat box or the Q&A box. And if we are ahead on our presentation, I will ask Rubén and Daniela via email, and they can answer them if something comes up. Okay, so thank you both. I'm gonna show now on the screen your diplomas for this presentation. I don't know if they are shown right now.
No, not yet.
There you go. Oh, I think they are probably on the way to be shown. If not, if they're not shown, I will send those to you. And thank you again for your presentation today.
Thank you very much to you and all the team for making this happen. And also very important, if there is any further question, I am reachable through my social networks, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. And we can keep working ahead to make this happen between Mexico and Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rubén. Thank you, Daniela. Okay,
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, and now for our last conference of the day, I would like